Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to be doing a video that I believe I have done at least once before. If I remember, I will leave it linked down below. Amidst all of my anti-hauling, amidst all of my brand shaming rhetoric, your girl is still very much a makeup consumer. Makeup makes me happy. It's part of my transformative process. And even though we have become a lot more enlightened recently, there are still the cases of makeup gone, makeup in of past years, of past collections, that things that we passed on that now in hindsight we sort of have a feeling of, oh, I wish I hadn't not bought that. So today we are literally talking about makeup that I wish I had purchased. I've done videos talking about makeup that I'm glad I didn't buy. We've done, makeups I reject, I regret buying. But it's important to remember those things that are just kind of the ones that got away. The things that of you today now yearn for and wish for one reason or another you had welcomed them into the fold of your collection. Although this isn't all whatever, because it's probably better that I didn't, because, money and space and all that jazz. But, we're doing the talkies and it's good to get your feelings out in the open. So, without further ado, let's just talk about makeup that I wish I had purchased. Some of which I think may be available, so the opportunity to purchase them might be a thing, not in 2020. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure these are like things that are now discontinued, that I am not the type of person who's gonna go on Poshmark, that's gonna go on Mercari, that's gonna go on any of those reseller sites and pay 10 times what it's worth to a makeup scalper in order to have it. We ain't doing that life no more, so we're just gonna make a video talking about it rather than spending money we don't have on stuff we don't need. The first of which being a old, I think this was at least 6 years ago, but the Tarte True Blood eyeshadow palette. I don't know if y'all know, you may have guessed from my aesthetic, your girl loves vampires. Your girl loves the ooky spooky horror whateverness. And your girl is a fan of True Blood. It is a beautiful depiction of vampiric realness, and this palette, looking at it, is actually something that is nice and evocative. I honestly think this is one of the best color stories in a collab palette Tarte has ever done, because it makes sense for Tarte as well as it makes sense for the collaboration they were doing. It's darker, it's more cool toned, it's a bit smoky, it's a little bit spooky, and it's just something that I think I got into makeup and really buying it kind of on the tail end of that, and then trying to go on and look into seeing about having it. I mean, I wouldn't want to have it now because of how old it is. There ain't way no I'd be putting that shiz on my eyelids. But it's just something that I look at aesthetically and interest-wise, and I'm like, that would have been something I really would have enjoyed then. Next up is from a indie brand, and the reason I'm really sad about not getting this, as well as a couple different palettes that I'm not sure about the names of, but basically not going in on the brand on a whole, is because I'm pretty sure the brand, I think they don't exist anymore. I think they liquidated themselves out of the market. But that is the Hasina 2 palette by Blush Tribe. Also, honorable mention, the Paulina and then the Paulina 2 palette. Oh my goodness, color story wise, those things are stunning. They are absolutely everything I want in a bright, beautiful, vivid color story. I'd heard really good things about the formula. They were more affordable. It was an indie company. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't go in on that, but they don't exist anymore. I got, I don't know, some kind of ad, or maybe I looked them up and they're like, oh, we're having a liquidation sale. I'm like, okay, all right, that's great. I'm gonna get me some. And like 99.99999% of their stock was just gone, sold out. And I'm like, well, I guess we let that ship sail. But I think they would have been just really nice standout staples in my colorful palette collection, because they just beautiful array of colors, beautiful gradient, wonderfully curated. Definitely, I mean, amidst all the bright, colorful whateverness, I could probably dupe it out. I probably have it, but they were just so pretty. They would have gotten a lot of love in my collection. Another one that's really kind of honestly stupid. I mean, I feel like we can admit that, you know, it's a no judge zone. We can admit our wants and desires, as shallow as they might be. But this was last year, and Funko, which your girl likes collecting useless pieces of plastic that she doesn't need. So I'm very familiar and well versed in the Funko Pop verse. And they decided to team up with, I believe, Ulta, and they created those like little Disney villain that had the like eyeshadow palettes, which apparently got really bad reviews. They had they had a blush palette. There was Maleficent. There was Cruella de Vil. I think there was I want to say Ursula. I could be wrong. They had the like lip glosses. I admit it was more of a collector thing than anything else. It would have been like a la display piece, which is something that I'm trying not to do today. You know, it's makeup, it's a consumable product. Don't buy it because you just want to display it. And it's just something, I went on and I looked, and I think when I looked, the blush palette was still available, the eyeshadow palettes and all the otherness were gone. I was gonna try to order it when it released, and there was something about the release date getting pushed back. There was a whole lot of whateverness, probably fate coming in and using her whateverness to keep me from buying this, because, you know, I didn't need it. I don't need another piece of useless plastic. So in the long run, it's probably better, but that is something that I'm like, it would have given me joy in the moment. I loved the aesthetic, the way it was designed. You know, there was just all that thing, all the feels going in. I may have anti-hauled it, but it's something that I'm kind of sad that I missed out on, even though it's probably for the best. I'm still allowed to have the feels. This is something that's absolutely stupid. This was a Too Faced holiday item. That's something you're probably never ever gonna hear again out of my mouth. And I think this was 2 years ago. I had a memory on my Facebook thing, and it was like, oh look, it was a picture I took doing the Anastasia subculture palette, and I couldn't believe that was only 3 years ago. I'm like, what, that wasn't 6 years ago? But it was a holiday item that came in some sort of, it was one of those like bundle things where they're like, oh look, here's this new item, but then it comes with like a lipstick and like a mini size something. But the new item was this like peach tinsel, loose highlighter. Y'all know your girl loves a peachy glow. You know your girl loves highlighter. You know your girl likes a highlighter that skews a bit less natural and a bit more ethereal, otherworldly, and vaguely threatening. And just the name in and of itself, peach tinsel, I mean, yeah, I want to put that all over my face. I know a couple people I think have found it at Marshall's. It is something that if I were to find at Marshall's and that kit was $12.99, I would buy it just for the highlighter, pass on the whatevers. And I think it wasn't that expensive when it was released, but it was like, do you really need, it was kind of in the enlightening arc where I was like, do you really need another highlighter? Which the answer is absolutely no. And so I passed on it. I've seen it in a couple collection and declutter videos, and every time somebody swatches it, I just about lose my mind. It looks so stunning, but you know, I passed on it. If any of y'all have it, please let me know down below if it's worth me trying to like find it and get it all up into my collection, even though I'm trying to not be about that life no more. You also know I'm trying not to go into Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Ross, or any kind of those sinking black holes, but I'm not gonna lie, if I found that shiz for $12.99 or even like $14.99, I'd probably be hard pressed not to buy it, because It was like the highlighter that got away. You know, everybody was all about, you know, the Estee Lauder Heat Wave and all the whatever highlighters. Well, this is the one for me. This next one is something like, I can't tell you how it would really be in my collection because obviously I don't have it. But I feel like I really would have enjoyed it if I had purchased it. Y'all know that every year Hourglass does their ambient something something palette situation. And y'all know just about every year your girl anti-hauls them because they are ridiculously expensive and they tend to have a certain level of sameness to them, even every year. But every year you got the people that buy them and swear by them and love them and say they'll die with this thing, you know. And there was the one that I think it was it last year? I don't know. It all blurs together. I'm pretty sure it was last year, and it was the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked 2018. I wrote down the date. So 2 years ago, it was the one that was specifically the one where they were going to give a portion of proceeds to some sort of animal charity. And it just had these really nice, soft, subtle, subdued colors. They had like 3 blushes, 3 highlighter, finishing, whatever shades going on. And it just looked so pretty. And out of every single blinking face palette that Hourglass has come out with through the years, this was the one that really actually beckoned, called, interested me in a way that actually tempted me to drop that near $100 on a friggity frackin' face palette I don't need. But I'm kind of sad that I didn't get it because there's been a part of me, just you know, a little bit of me that's had a interest in these because so many people love them. So many people rave about them, and you're just like, maybe I'll just take a sip of the Kool-Aid, you know, just a little bit to whet my appetite, which is probably a bad thing because if I end up loving it, I don't want to be spending $80 a year on the Hourglass face palettes that are friggin' limited edition and basically look the same year to year. But this one really just, I thought it was just so pretty. Definitely anti-hauled it. Kind of sad that it's now gone the way of the dodo. If any of y'all bought it and you had it and you loved it or you hated it, let me know down below. I enjoy getting closure one way or another from some of y'all, whether a product is good or bad. Another face palette that I absolutely didn't need. I know I anti-hauled this and so many of y'all were like, you need to get this shiz, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't get that shiz. The Jouer Bouquet D'amor blush palette, which is that blush palette they did with the 3 on top and 6 pan palette. It had that beautiful, beautiful orange shade, and apparently this palette was the blush palette to end all blush palettes. They were like, if you want to try the formula or you like the original blush food, you know, the original little dual blush whatevers, you know, this was the palette to have. I didn't buy it because y'all know how I am with face palettes. You know, I'd never tried the formula before. I ended up buying that like Cut Gems Jouer blush palette sort of as a satiation for not buying that palette, and that palette sucked. Oh, it was so bad. And then I felt even worse for not buying the Bouquet D'amor palette when it first released because so many of y'all recommended it. It was just, I mean, that was definitely the one that got away because the color selection in that was beyond absolute perfection. And apparently the formula was fan-tucking-fastic because everybody absolutely loved it. And it was one of those things where it's just like, you know, oftentimes your gut tells you no, which, you know, in a certain kind of way, I'm happy I didn't buy these because that's money I would have spent. I can't say whether I would have used it or not, you know, whether it would have gotten decluttered because I haven't tried it, but I would have liked, a part of me would have liked to try it. But y'all know your girl is at no need, there is no shortness of blush or palettes in my collection, but it's pretty. I think about it every once in a while. I would like to try more products from Jouer, and that orange, honestly, it's just that orange blush that makes me like, my heart will go on. Now, this one is something I'm not sure if it's still available or not. I'm not sure because sometimes when holiday products are released, they're like an extension of something that already exists. I don't know if it's permanent. I don't know if it's limited edition. I haven't done that much deep diving into it to find out. We might as well talk about another highlighter because basically any kind of highlighter comes out and your girl has a little bit of desire just based on the fact that it's a highlighter. A really bad thing, I know, but we're slowly working through it. And this is the Fenty Diamond Bomb 2, which out of all of those Diamond Bombs, this was the one that mesmerized me the most. I believe Lacey had it and she was like, oh, this shiz is all kinds of beautiful. And I'm like, oh, that shiz is all kinds of beautiful. And this is something that I finally did make the decision to buy. And when I went to buy it, it was sold out online and it was sold out in store. So it ended up not happening. And I'm still kind of not happy about that because I really wanted that shiz. It looked all kinds of beautiful and just, you know, your girl is a sucker for a duochrome ethereal fantasy fairy highlighter. And this one, the packaging, the tone, it was just so beautiful. I heard so many, I mean, obviously the shiz was sold out and I heard so many good things about it. People were like, this is the one to get. I'm unsure if it's still available. I don't think it is because I don't recall seeing it in, because I don't know. I think these are ones that she just releases every holiday. I know that this year she released like a really deep coppery bronzy gold one. Obviously not suited for my skin tone and that's fine. All you deep, dark, delicious, decadent melanin, y'all go get some. But that one, I'm really kind of sad. It's like that one in the Peach Tinsel highlighter. I'm like, please, I know I'm never gonna find the Fenty one at TJ Maxx, but you know, I would like to has. Please, sir, can I have some more highlighter? All right, definitely another one that got away. Sugarpill. One of these days, I just need to bite the frickin' bullet and make myself a pro palette. Decluttering those eyeshadow palettes of them was probably one of the most painful things I ever had to declutter. Not because I didn't love them, but because they were old and probably giving me eye infections. But this was Sugarpill. I wish would release more palettes like they used to rather than coming out with those catastrophic pill ones. It's like, okay, you could make those. Why can't you do ones like the Edward Scissorhands one you did? Why can't we have Feline Fancy? That released, I don't know if I anti-hauled it or not. That was a while ago and it was just so pretty, rosy, and beautiful. I mean, Feline Fancy, it had the cute little kitty aesthetic, which is something I live for. It was one that definitely made me very sad that it was sold out. It wasn't coming back. I don't know if I anti-hauled it. I didn't have the money for one reason or another. That thing did not come into my life. And it made me all kinds of sad because it was so pretty. I know it was only like 4 stinking shades, but it was like this utilitarian, use it on the eyes, use it on the face, you know, and y'all know your girl loves a monochromatic aesthetic, which is what this palette would have given to me in spades. But, you know, you do what you do, the time passes, things happen, things don't ever get released again. You ever find that funny? How when brands release products, and the products that are so loved, so coveted, so like desired, are the ones that are limited edition, that are never seen from again. I'm like, why are you releasing all this permanent kind of mediocre stuff? You know, obviously this is my own personal opinion. Y'all love what you love. You keep doing you, boo-boo. But when they release these things that end up being so coveted and so loved and so sought after, and they're like, well, you ain't never gonna see it again, it falls under like, okay, we might as well go off into another one. Y'all can, like, for any of y'all who've made it this far and you're gonna be upset and dislike the video and unfollow me and unsubscribe and tell me why you're unsubscribing down below, I will mention the Jeffree Star Peppermint Frost highlighter palette. The highlighters that are the extreme, supreme, the highlighters that are his typical Skin Frost formula that are done in palettes are superior, in my opinion, to the single pan ones. Y'all know your girl was burned by the mystery boxes. I had a couple people tell me you're stupid for buying them, you're just dumb. You know, so I wasn't jumping on that holiday bandwagon. And then that palette got shown. I was like, all of those colors would work for me. I've seen swatches. I've seen people apply it to their face. I've seen people sell it for $150. There is a special place in makeup, HELL, for the people who scalp makeup, who take these things and mark them 10, 20, 30, 100 times more than their traditional sale value, even though it was an exclusive. I just have so many issues with that, but that is a highlighter trio that I look at it in people's collections and I'm like, there is a fiery lust burned within me as I look at that thinking, I really wish I could slather that all over my pasty face. But I was not about to pay $100. I mean, the people who take his exclusives and then the fact that he was like, oh, maybe I should make it permanent. And all the people who had it were butthurt because they were like an exclusive. I'm like, but that's what companies do. They take products that they put out and they see are so popular and then they make them permanent because they're so popular. I don't understand the whatever, like what takes it to make something permanent versus, oh, we're just gonna let it go off into the atmosphere, into the history of makeup that you're never gonna see again. I don't know, that's just me. Y'all know I have issues with super inclusive limited edition something. I'm like, it's makeup. You know, just make enough for everybody and just, We might as well end on with two from companies that I had never tried before, never heard from before, which may or may not have gone into my reasoning behind not buying this stuff. First of which being the Little Mermaid X Spectrum collections, which looking at this, y'all know your girl, I have talked massive shiz about like ostentatious, ornate, whatever brushes going on because I'm like, I just need my brushes to do what they need to do. I don't need any kind of fanciness. But looking at this, and as much as I'm not a huge Disney person, I'm a huge Disney princess person and Disney villains, which this has a Little Mermaid, Ariel, as well as Ursula like brush collection that came in these absolutely stunning, I think repurposable as purses, brush holder containers. I mean, this thing was just so pretty. I know I didn't buy it because I have got so many brushes. I've got my Real Techniques. I've got my Essence shiz. You know, I don't spend a lot of money on my makeup brushes, especially fancy ones that are like, you know, if they've got different colored brush hairs and whatevers, because, you know, they're my brushes. They're going to get ganky. They're going to get janky. They're going to get nasty. The only super fancy whateverness was Sephora X Tokidoki. And the only reason I got that was because I found it at like Marshall's for like $5. Did not buy that when it first came out, but this is just something that I'm like, oh, that is so stinking pretty. You know, it would have like, I'm not sure what it would have fulfilled within me or if it would have fulfilled anything in with me, or is this just lack of non-buyer's remorse? But they were just so pretty. Like it was something I could have got behind. I think they were pretty pricey, and I probably at the time wasn't sold on the whole like presentation versus practicality, the fact that it came in the big giant whateverness rather than it just being put in a box and slapped on and taking $30 off the price. So it just wasn't something that, you know, but looking at it and I like look at pictures at it now and I'm like, oh, this is so pretty. I wish I had bought you so I could have felt like a little mermaid princess when I did my makeup. Okay, I have no idea who this person is. I've kind of heard about their makeup. It's not a brand I've ever tried, but the Linda Halberg The Spectral palette. This palette is absolutely gorgeous. Kind of color theory wise, or at least color layout wise, it's kind of reminiscent to the Besame Peter Pan mermaid whateverness eyeshadow palette. I remember this released and I think it was kind of pricey, and I think you get like 8 shades, and it just wasn't something that I was going to be going in on. But the colors are so pretty, and looking back on this, I think of all the amazingness I could have done with this. And I think this was released at a time where I wasn't as enlightened about smaller palettes. I used to be like the whole, you know, more is better, whereas now I'm like curation is better than oversaturation. And looking at this, I'm pretty sure it was Angelica Nyquist. I can never pronounce her last name, I'm so sorry, but I think she posted about this on YouTube as well as on Instagram, and she's so creative and she made it look so beautiful. I'm really sad and bummed that I missed out on this one, because it is just so stinking beautiful. Like, even when it released, I thought it was absolutely stunning, and I thought it was gorgeous, and it had several very unique shades that I feel like we haven't really seen a lot of in the industry. And so looking back on it now in hindsight, I'm like, should have just bought it, should have just gone in, should have trusted my instinct and my gut, spent the money, and allowed myself to enjoy the beautiful colors. But that is all I have for this video for you all today. I may be continuing to do these, I don't know. So as you know, as products come to my mind, I may do a continuation. I would love to hear what y'all have to say about these products down below, whether they're good, they're bad, as well as things that have come and gone that are makeup products that you wish that you had bought, that are now the ones, as I say, that have got away. Because as much as we like to endorse an anti-haul and a certain level of anti-consumerism, it's good to think about the things that you miss, the things that you would have liked to have, because we're all human and we're all consumers in the end. We're just getting smarter about what we're consuming, and we can occasionally be sad and upset about things that we missed consuming on. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!